A 5-year-old girl burst into a biker bar, rain dripping from her blue hoodie, clutching a torn teddy bear. Her tiny voice trembled as she screamed, "They're beating my mama." The room went silent. 15 members of the Hells Angels turned their heads toward her, their tattoos and leather jackets catching the dim light. Robert, the leader, set his beer down and knelt in front of her. "Who's hurting your mama, sweetheart?" he asked softly. "Mom's boyfriend and his friends," she sobbed. "They're hitting her. She's screaming." Robert glanced around the bar. Every biker was already on their feet. "Where?" he asked. The little girl pointed down the street. The blue apartment with the broken window. Within seconds, the roar of motorcycle engines filled the night. Rain pounded the pavement as the gang raced toward the apartment. From halfway down the street, they could already hear the screams. Glass breaking, furniture crashing, a woman begging for mercy. The moment they reached the door, Tank, their enforcer, kicked it clean off its hinges. Inside was a nightmare. 3 men standing over a woman lying in a pool of blood. Broken furniture, drug paraphernalia, and beer bottles littered the room. "Sophie, don't look," Robert ordered, but she already had. The scream that left her throat cut through every man's heart. Robert dropped to his knees beside the woman and checked for a pulse. "She's alive," he said, voice tight. "Tiny, get that ambulance now!" Derek, the boyfriend, snarled and raised a knife. "Get out of my house!" he shouted. Razor stepped forward, voice low and dark. "Your house? This lease says Jennifer's name." Derek lunged, and Robert caught his wrist, squeezing until bones cracked. The knife clattered to the floor. "You touch that child again," Robert said coldly, "and I'll end you." Sirens wailed outside as police and paramedics arrived. Detective Sarah Martinez was first through the door. One look at the scene told her everything. "What happened here?" she asked. "We heard screaming and stopped it," Robert said simply. Derek tried to shout over him. "They broke into my house. I want them arrested." But the detective saw the blood on his hands, and none of it was his. Paramedics rushed Jennifer out on a stretcher. "Family only," one said as Sophie tried to follow. "She's 5 years old," Robert protested. Then a voice cut through the chaos. Judge Patricia Williams, wearing her nightgown under her coat. "I'm authorizing emergency custody to whoever this child chooses." Everyone stared. "Tiny called me," she explained. "My daughter was in this position once. Bikers saved her life too." Sophie looked around at the intimidating men in leather, then walked straight to Robert and lifted her arms. "You saved my mama. Can you take care of me until she gets better?" Robert held her gently. "Yeah, baby. We got you." Derek laughed bitterly. "You're giving custody to a biker. That's illegal." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Michael Patterson has no criminal record, owns a successful auto shop, and raised 3 daughters. He's more qualified than you ever were." Derek's friends started confessing instantly, saying it was all his idea, that he'd been beating Jennifer for months. Derek screamed for them to shut up, but it was too late. The truth poured out. Jennifer had tried to leave that night, and Derek snapped. Sophie saw him choking her mother and ran for help. That little girl's courage had saved her life. Derek was arrested for attempted murder, domestic violence, and drug possession. Jennifer spent 6 hours in surgery. Sophie refused to leave the hospital, and neither did the bikers. They took turns watching over her, bringing her food, toys, and coloring books. She made drawings for each of them, dragons for Tank, skulls for Razor, and a princess on a motorcycle for Robert. "My mama says bikers are dangerous," she said one day. Robert smiled softly. "Sometimes dangerous people protect good people." A week later, Derek made bail. His wealthy parents paid $100,000 to get him out. He showed up at the hospital, violating his restraining order. Security called the bikers before the police. Derek found himself surrounded in the parking garage by 15 very angry men. "I just want to apologize," he said. "She doesn't want your apology," Robert replied. Derek smirked. "You can't keep me from her forever." Tank stepped closer. "Want a bet?" Derek reached for a gun. Shots rang out, cars shattered, and then Sophie appeared in the doorway. "This is all your fault, you little brat," Derek shouted, aiming the gun at her. Robert didn't think. He moved. The bullet hit his shoulder, but he stood his ground, shielding Sophie with his body. "You got shot for me," she whispered. "Just a scratch, baby," he lied. Police stormed in moments later, finding Derek unconscious, Robert bleeding and Sophie clinging to him. Derek was charged again, this time with attempted murder of a child. No bail. His parents offered Jennifer $2 million to drop the charges. She refused. In court, Derek wept, claiming, "I loved her." 5-year-old Sophie stood up in the gallery, eyes fierce. "You don't hurt people you love." The courtroom applauded. The judge allowed it. Derek got 25 years in prison. Jennifer recovered slowly, with therapy and the help of her new family, the bikers. They paid her rent, fixed her car, and made sure Sophie went to school safely. Sophie started calling Robert Uncle Mike. He taught her to fix bikes and defend herself. "Violence isn't the answer," he told her. "Unless someone's hurting you or your mom, then it's the only answer." Years passed. Jennifer got a job at the biker's auto shop handling the books. 3 years later, she married a kind mechanic, a former Marine. Robert walked her down the aisle. 15 Hell's Angels stood as groomsmen, and Sophie, now 8, was the flower girl. "You saved us," Jennifer said at the reception. Robert smiled. "No, that little girl saved you." She knew who to run to. The Iron Horse Bar has a new rule now. If any child ever runs in asking for help, they act, no questions asked. Since that night, they've saved 17 women and children. Because sometimes angels don't have wings. They wear leather and ride Harleys. And sometimes a brave little girl running barefoot through the rain can change everything. Sophie is 16 now. She rides her own bike, a gift from the club. On the back of her vest it reads, "Protected by angels." Protected by angels.